Breaking news into CNN on the Hunter Biden trial, his tax evasion trial. Let's get straight to CNN's Evan Perez, who's outside of court for us. Evan, we understand that Hunter Biden's attorneys have now adjusted. Earlier, they were asking for this Alford plea to strike a deal with prosecutors. Now they've moved away from that. Now they're saying that Hunter Biden is prepared to plead guilty to the 9 tax offenses without striking a deal with prosecutors.
That's right, Boris. Look, we are getting a lot of twists and turns now in federal court. The court hearing is still ongoing, but at this point, what Hunter Biden's attorneys are offering is, on his behalf, is for him to plead guilty to all the counts. He's facing 3 felony counts for tax evasion, 6 misdemeanor counts for failing to file and pay his taxes on time. And under this scenario that they have now floated, he would accept to plead guilty, but it is not part of a deal with prosecutors. We expect that as part of this hearing, as it continues, that prosecutors are still going to object to some parts of this, but this is the latest gambit that Hunter Biden is trying to pull to essentially try to avoid a long trial. We expect that this trial would go about 5 weeks. It's a very expensive thing. Hunter Biden, of course, was already on trial in Delaware earlier this year, and he was found guilty on those gun charges. So what Hunter Biden's attorneys did first this morning was to offer that Alford plea, where he would proclaim his innocence but accept whatever punishment would come for these charges, acknowledging essentially that the government has enough evidence to prove his guilt in this courthouse. So at this point now, they've changed tactic, and this new attempt is, again, avoid a trial, but in this way, he would plead guilty, accept a guilty plea on all of these counts, but it would be not part of a deal with prosecutors. It's another twist in this very kind of bizarre day, frankly, that we've had here. I should note there's still 120 jurors sitting there. They're in the cafeteria having lunch just a few minutes ago. Some of them waiting to hear whether or not we're going to have voir dire, whether we're going to have jury selection on this case, which was supposed to start earlier today. So right now, we don't know what the judge is going to do, whether he's going to accept this latest attempt. Earlier, the Alford plea, the judge said he was not ready to accept that and he would spend some time thinking about it. So it appears what Hunter's trying to do is leave this building with some kind of deal. Whether prosecutors accept it or not, we will find out.
And Evan, we know that on that Alford plea, prosecutors on David Weiss's team said that they would not under any circumstance accept one or agree to one. Do you think that they're more likely to now, if Hunter Biden is saying that he's willing to accept a guilty plea, effectively, work with the defense team on a plea deal? How would this move forward?
Right. I mean, that's now what the Hunter Biden team is essentially doing, is calling the bluff of prosecutors who, as you pointed out earlier today, said, no way, we're never going to accept this. This is against Justice Department policy in general to accept these Alford pleas where you still proclaim that you're innocent. And so what they've decided to do now is throw a new twist into this. Now, it is possible that this could satisfy prosecutors in the end, because in the end, what they want is for Hunter Biden to admit that he committed these crimes. By the way, he was ready to plead guilty to this last year before the plea deal fell apart at that courthouse in Wilmington last year. So it is clear that they're trying to make sure that they walk out of this courthouse trying to resolve this case without going to trial.
And Evan, quickly, part of the reason that original plea deal fell apart last year is because there was an open question as to whether or not Hunter Biden could face more charges. Do we know where the investigation into him stands? Is that still a possibility? Could that come up again as he tries to strike a plea deal now?
Yeah, you know, that is a great question. I think prosecutors have tried to leave that open. According to sources we've talked to, that case is not going anywhere. It's not likely that he will end up facing those charges on foreign lobbying charges, but it is something that prosecutors have held over his head, so to speak, to try to force him to admit to these charges. It is still an open question, Boris.